Hello, everyone, and if you're returning, welcome back. So, in this episode, I've got a guest, and that guest today is Victoria. And Victoria's going to tell us about getting people to come to your website. So, thanks for coming along.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's my pleasure.
Yeah. So, in order to give us a little bit of context about why you're here and what you do, could you give us a little introduction?
Yeah, I come from a background in brand communication and have worked for a lot of corporates, but now my focus is specifically around supporting compassionate, creative women entrepreneurs to share their message and become visible, whether that's for their marketing or for their programs. So I'm really passionate about helping people express their brand in a way that best aligns with their personality and energy and purpose so that business actually feels good to them.
So good. So the problem I wanted to discuss today was I've one common issue that I see women, particularly in business, complaining about and worried about is, oh, I've got this website, but no one's coming to it. Like I'd love to see more people coming to it. What should I do? And Victoria was very interested in answering this question, but the answer may not be what you think because I'm thinking this might be, do I is it Facebook? Should I be on Facebook? Should I be on Instagram? Should I be on TikTok? Victoria, tell us what we should do.
Well, it's true that there's lots of places you can be, and part of that's part of the problem, I think too, is having that scattergun approach and just thinking if I put myself out everywhere, then I'm expanding my chances to find my people.
Mm,
Um, that I think actually that the real question isn't necessarily so much how do I bring more people into my website, but more how do I attract people who are actually aligned.
mm,
um, and to me, I think of a website as like the heart of your business. And even when you're just starting out and you don't really know what you need to say, it's a beautiful way to kind of experiment with what you want to say so that it can evolve with you. And so as you grow, by the time you get to that place of having amazing clarity and knowing exactly what's going to attract your clients, the foundations are there, and so it's an iterative process. So that's why I love the website in that context. But this idea of attracting people who are actually aligned is much more at the heart of you know talking about what you do in a way that really resonates with people, and that's what drives me more than anything, because it comes back to really being in tune with who you authentically are and what you really
mm,
want to do in the world. Sometimes people will come to me and they'll say, I need to improve my messaging. I need to create a course. I need to
mm,
market myself. I haven't got a
mm.
clue.
That's a lot of
Um,
things.
yeah. And they resonate with my messaging. I speak to their kind of sensitive nature. Often they're introverts or neurodivergent people, those sorts of things. Um, but it takes a lot of, coming up with a message about isn't a sort of like a transactional process where you write something that's going to bring people in.
Mm,
It really is about, I mean, it kind of ultimately ends up, that's kind of what you want it to do, but
mm,
it has to be based on getting really in tune with, especially, if you're in a compassionate, heart-centered kind of business, the way you design your business and what you're
mm,
talking about is much more about being in tune with what it is, how you want to be in your business, how you want to feel doing what you're doing,
mm.
the kind of people that you're actually spending your time with, the kind of energy that happens in those relationships. And the difference that you make and what it is that you actually really care about, so that you can bring so much more of yourself to it. So, I don't believe that what we actually do is go out and find clients. What we really should be doing is just making it easy for the right people to come and find us.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so
So
true.
I can't remember what the question was now.
Yeah,
It's a big
that's
question. How
so
do we
true. It
bring
is
more
a big
people to our
question.
website?
Yeah, yeah, but a good, you know, that is a really good way to look at it, because at the end of the day, you can say, oh, like you'll get, like, let's compare the amount of traffic you could potentially get from Google or from TikTok. Like that doesn't matter, because for sure you could measure getting more traffic from one than the other, but that ultimately doesn't matter at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I mean, but ideally, that measure of traffic will be in direct relationship to the messaging that you've
Hmm.
created. Because if your SEO is working, then you're speaking to the kind of people who are looking for the kinds of things that you're actually providing. Um, and and so having a kind of a breadth of messaging and offers that that connect the dots for those people, because sometimes they might be looking for multiple things.
Hmm.
um, I had someone recently say that I didn't know, just contacted me. They bought one of my online offers and they wanted to book a call with me. So we had a chat and I said, so how did you find me? And she said, oh, I'm starting this business and so I'm looking for lots of things.
Hmm.
One of them was networking. And so, she found out about my barefoot business women's network, which is, an alternative kind of networking, which appealed to her kind of introverted nature. But then she
Hmm.
said, oh, I can see that you also do on-camera confidence. And so as soon as she sort of put those two pieces together, she went, when we jumped on the call, she said, I've decided I want to work with you. So I didn't have to actually sell anything.
Hmm.
They're the kind of clients you want. But that only comes about when you've you've got a thread that runs through what it is that you've got on your website. So
Hmm.
it could be and I'm going to use that word, that phrase, lead magnet. But if you've got some kind of a free offer that makes it easy for people to experience some kind of flavor of what it's like to work with you and how you work, then that's one great way to help people come closer to into your ecosystem.
Hmm.
But you might also have some offers and that resonate, or that they can connect the dots to. Oh, that's where I want to get to. I know I want to create a course. I'm not there yet, but
Hmm.
and they might not even be ready to buy yet, but
Hmm.
maybe but it brings them in and they can find something that meets them where they're at. So I think the secret is to have a bit of a blend of things. And for me, it's much more about what's on my website than what I post on social media. Um, I'm not one of those people that posts every day.
Hmm.
I I like, I'll do it for my clients, but for myself, I tend to be a bit, like I have the cobbler's shoe syndrome. But also I sort of, I don't believe that posting every day, apart from the fact that it doesn't really vibe with me to kind of
Hmm.
be that structured and in everyone's face. Uh, it's more for me about having something. I use it as a way to express what's coming up for me,
Hmm.
and but but you can build relationships through social media, which is kind of more the point, is having those conversations that bring people into your ecosystem and they follow you, and you don't have to be in their face, but they might join your email list or something.
Hmm.
And that again comes back to your website. So for me, I try to make it easy for people to subscribe to my blog, or if download a freebie, or book a call or whatever. And all of those things come back to my email list.
Hmm.
I think that's the most important thing. My social media might not get much engagement. People don't want to be seen to be responding to things sometimes, or they,
Hmm.
it might speak to them. But I sort of feel like it's the people that you have the best relationships with already that engage with you in social media, and strangers not so much. So, um, but the but with my email open rate is between 42 and 51% or something. So,
Hmm.
no complaints there.
Hmm.
And
No,
that's,
only praise for email here.
yeah, and I really love it. And people will sometimes unsubscribe, and I feel like that's good, because that probably actually increases my open rate,
Hmm.
because I'm getting
Yeah.
rid of the people who no longer feel aligned with whatever it is they came into it for.
Hmm.
Because my business has evolved as well, since I started off. and um, and yeah, so that leaves more space for me to know that I'm communicating on a wavelength that does resonate with the
Hmm.
people who are there. The website is a nice way to incorporate lots of those different elements. Like I said at the beginning, you don't want that kind of throw a spaghetti at a wall, scatter gun kind of thing and see
Hmm.
what sticks, but have some kind of, like, I'm very keen on working out what works best for your communication strengths.
Hmm.
So I love to write, so I've got a blog,
Yeah.
um, and and I don't mind talking if I've I mean, I sort of prefer talking than being
Hmm.
on camera, which is kind of ironic, seeing as I used to be a director, and
Yeah.
I have had, I sort of, now I understand what I put all those people through who were in front of the camera, but
Hmm.
but now so I'm creating a private podcast as well. I've got a podcast on my website. I've got a course on my website. So it's not, for me, it's nice to be able to have one place where I
Hmm.
can create all of these things that work for the way I work. But there's some things that
Hmm.
don't aren't so easy for me. I don't
Yeah.
tend to, I'll listen to a podcast if I'm driving, but I
Yeah.
tend not to listen to it when I'm working around the house. So, as an end
Hmm.
user, like, my learning styles, I'm sort of aware of as well. So it's kind of interesting to figure out what works best for your learning style or your teaching style. And there's lots of, like, some people are really good with visuals and creating graphics that help explain a complex idea really concisely, and that's a
Hmm.
fantastic skill to have. So if you can create some kind of like Venn diagram that
Yeah.
cuts a long story short, then yeah, that's a great tool to have. There's lots of different ways that you can show up.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, there's a really good lesson there, and that is um, assuming that you're a service provider and assuming that you are doing your own marketing. The best way to do it is doing it in a way that you can work with, because it's really easy to fall into a trap where, oh, I've just looked at TikTok and I see so and so is doing all these,
Yeah,
presentations, or they're doing these dances. Does that mean I have to do that too? I don't want to do that. You don't have to do
yeah.
that. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing.
And it's really hard. I think that a lot of, particularly creative, compassionate, sensitive people,
Mm,
are more easily perhaps drawn into trusting people when they say, here's the solution. And uh, and I think that we owe it to ourselves to give ourselves permission to use that other superpower that we've got, which is
mm.
to question the status quo, and
Yeah.
and listen to ourselves, because I think if you want to feel like you're doing something that genuinely lights you up and that isn't just about making money, then
Mm,
it's important to listen to what your body is telling you when you try to do different things,
mm,
and or when someone tells you that this is what you should be doing, because I don't think there's any rules that are true for everybody. So I love that. I mean, it can be a slow process to sort of find out what truly works for you,
Mm.
but but if you can, yeah, tune in and sort of go figure out what feels aligned and doesn't feel like icky, because I think a lot of marketing sort of tactics can feel really manipulative and not sit well for people,
Mm.
and I think that's often because it's about, sticking to someone else's template rather than finding your
Yeah.
own way. Yeah. um i created a I created a mini course sort of around those ideas for people wanting to create a course, because it's really difficult to sort of know, should it
Mm.
be this, should it be that, and you get people saying, use this platform, make it this kind of format, um, you know, create a course like this. But there's lots of ways that you can share your wisdom that
Mm.
works well for you and your purpose and your audience and how they like to learn and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think it's really important that we find our way through navigating that stuff, because yeah, otherwise you can spend forever
Yeah.
trying things that feel really horrible, and it's a shortcut to being disheartened and giving up. So don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Just do as much learning and exploring as you can. And if you want to, I don't know, say if you look up a YouTube tutorial on how to grow your YouTube audience, that's going to be like a template, like a cookie cut approach. Like do it exactly this way. Everyone else does it this way. And
Yeah,
again, you don't have to do it exactly like that.
exactly. In fact, I think there's so much joy in giving yourself permission to break the rules and
Hmm.
listen to yourself and go, oh, what would be fun? You know, and there's lots of things you could print a zine if you wanted to
Oh
and post it
yeah.
out. Like, people don't talk about that sort of stuff often, but print isn't dead, and there's lots of different ways that you can communicate that light you up. So it's not just
Yeah.
about trying to please your audience, but doing something that makes your business original and fun and works with your rhythms and passions. And yeah, and it's like,
Yeah.
some people don't necessarily feel tech savvy,
Mm.
or they don't necessarily understand the SEO and the stuff to do with like cascading headings or on all of
Oh
that sort of
yeah.
tech stuff that you need for a website, but they might be really great with graphic design or code or copy, or any sorts of those sorts of things. So
Mm.
that's why I think it's nice to work in a way that allows you to do those things, because it's nice to be able to build your business and enjoy the process of not just doing the work for your clients, but enjoy the marketing as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so
Um,
true. Because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to want to do it.
yeah, I mean, which is fine if you can outsource
Yeah.
it. I mean, but I like to kind of meet people in the middle sometimes too, and have a co-creation service where you bring what you love to do, and I'll help you out with the rest, and
Mm.
together we can make it so that they're not sort of feeling like they've handed over everything and they don't have any control.
Mm.
That's the beauty. I mean, I work in Squarespace, and I think that's the beauty of that platform for me, is apart from the fact that you can do, put your podcast and your blog and your course and membership or whatever in there,
Yeah.
is is that it's so kind of intuitive and elegantly designed and nice to play in rather than, you know, for me, it's more like it's a bit like walking into an Apple store instead of one of those computer shops with the bars on the windows and the
Ah,
graffiti
yeah.
outside.
Yep. Yep. I know him well. Yeah.
Bit more
I
of a
just,
sigh of
yeah.
relief.
I really appreciate the ease and simplicity of Squarespace and, um, Yeah, I used to be like really into WordPress. Like I'd use WordPress for everything, but nowadays if you're like a solo coach or therapist and you're working on your own, um, I'd say Squarespace is probably one of the best platforms for you. WordPress
Yeah,
is way too complicated for the needs of some businesses, I think.
yeah. Having said that, and it's another thing that I kind of, it's a bit of a love-hate thing with Squarespace is that I don't find that it's necessarily fantastic with the email side of things.
Mm,
But it's also really easy to integrate third-party things, which I already have going. So forms for a couple of different things, whether it's a freebie or a paid thing. I've got my CRM and I've got my email list and stuff, and all of that stuff integrates really beautifully with Squarespace, and you don't need plugins and stuff. It's just a
yeah.
copy and paste a bit of code in the right place, and it's really easy to find where it goes, and it works, and it's designed for your brand, and it's so nice to be able to do that and have all of the back end stuff a bit more like it's. I like that you can have like a one core ecosystem inside Squarespace for all of the stuff, but then it have it integrate with other things, so you haven't got all of your eggs in one basket completely when it comes to controlling it. So yeah,
Mm.
that's a really cool thing. I mean, not that, there's lots of people swear by WordPress. I don't really know why. Perhaps you could
I
understand that, but each their own.
yeah.
Not my kind of playground.
No,
Um,
it's really easy to create what we call turnkey websites, which is basically just for each new client, you just make a duplicate of the website and fill in the business name, fill in the keywords, and you're done.
oh yeah, okay, that explains a lot because
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of websites that look exactly the same as each other.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we're straying a little bit from the original discussion, but that's okay. We both really love
Yeah.
Squarespace
But I
and
think that you attract people to a website that you keep alive and that you
mm,
keep fresh. And so that if you build it in a platform that is energetically, positive, and it makes you want to update things because it's easy and it's fun. I mean, that's
yeah.
what it feels like for me. And I mean, I've played in WordPress too, and I kind of get hyperventilate when I have
Mm,
to try and do it. So that doesn't work for me. But in Squarespace, I go, oh, I think I'll create a new sales page today. um,
yeah.
and it's fun. So that means that yeah, I keep it alive, and it just makes it easy for me to just share things really quickly with people. If I have an idea for a new offer or something, it doesn't take me very long to build it.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And I don't know about you, but I sense that a lot of women who quit the corporate scene to do their own thing, one of the motivating reasons is because they want a way to generate income for themselves that doesn't feel painful, that is actually like pretty enjoyable to do. So, yeah,
yeah, exactly.
I'd argue don't burden yourself with anything tricky or complicated or something that's too hard for you. Um, yeah, I feel like everyone has a way that works for them, and it's just a matter of deeply understanding who you are, who you're serving, and then assuming again that you're doing your own marketing, that you can do that and generate that in a way that is uncomplicated.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you've managed to escape corporate to do your own thing, I mean, there's a sometimes there's a sense of urgency to
Mm,
replace your income.
yeah,
But I think it's nice to be able to have something bubbling along before you get to that point, so that
mm,
by the time you bail, you've got some solid foundations there. Because it
yeah,
does take a bit of time. It's not, you can't just kind of build it and they will come, but it does
mm,
take a lot of time to really clarify. And I think that's the hardest thing about websites and marketing in general. Well, that's the good thing about websites is it kind of forces you to realize. what you don't know.
Mm.
and um, and that's a really great way to start exploring, what is my real purpose? Who am I trying to serve? What gap can I see? What difference am I trying to make? You know, what can I bring that's a bit different? And how
Mm.
do I express that so that the right people actually find me? And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it takes a bit of massaging to get that right, unless you can, afford to work with someone who happens to be a genius in that area.
Yeah.
um, yeah, hi everyone.
Yeah. 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 It takes a bit of patience. Yeah.
Yeah, and also there's a lot to be said with for people say, oh, do market research, and I don't think that you learn a lot from market research. If people are going to respond, you have to make sure that they're the right people who are responding, and that you're asking the right kind of questions, and that
Mm.
they're telling you the right things for the right reasons, and it's
Yeah.
complicated. But when you actually work with people, then pretty quickly what's going on for them.
Mm. Yeah,
And you
that's
can
it.
learn a lot about what 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 voices in their head to tune into, to
Mm.
that resonate with what it is that you're trying to express. So yeah, that's the best thing to do. Try and get some some clients, and that's why I say, for a lot. I mean, depending on your what kind of business you're in, that um, that it's great to just start working with um, people to help you work out what who is and who isn't an ideal client and why. It's just a process, really.
Hmm.
But again, we digress.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and once you do identify those people, yeah, it's um there's so many different methods you can use. But yeah, identify who they are and what you're offering. Um, and then I wanted to come
Yeah, and
back to
I'm not
something that you
really.
mentioned, which was print paper. Like at the latest Marybeck Business Networking, some of the ladies brought little paper flyers. One of them
Yeah.
even had like, white paper, black and white ink, homemade type thing that she was
Cool.
handing out. Yeah, nothing wrong with it. I just thought it was beautiful and charming, and
Yeah, yeah,
I'd love to
nice.
see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so easy these days, I mean, I choose to not have a printer at home because I've just given up
Mm.
on that, you know, um, on having to turn them over every time it just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
um, but it's so easy to get things printed just
Yeah.
from the comfort of your own home,
Yeah.
virtually. So
Yeah. I order stuff on Canva every now and then, like my business cards. It just takes a couple of days.
yeah, yeah, same. It's nice to support that business, I think,
Yeah.
and I mean, there's lots of other companies that you can
Yeah.
um, do similar stuff with, yeah, or if you want things that Canva don't offer,
Hmm.
yeah. Um,
Exactly. Cool.
maybe we've solved the problems of the world.
Perhaps. Well, I hope that listening to this helped someone out. If you still got questions though, um, Victoria, how would you go about helping someone? What should they do?
Well, in the context of this conversation, I think the best thing is to visit my website.
Hmm.
um, I've got a very posh sounding name, Victoria Maxwell-Davis, and that's my website. But you can also just do a Google search for Barefoot Business Women's Network, and you'll find me.
Mm.
Um, yeah, my website's .com.au because I feel like I like to have a local network of clients. It's when I first started out, I thought global was the way to go.
Mm.
The world is my oyster. There's 9 billion people. I'll kill it. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I've increasingly come to find how much I just love the culture of my locals. So
Mm,
that's where I'm focusing a lot of my attention. So
yeah,
yeah, I've got a
I regret not
.com.au.
getting a .com.au. I just stuck with the .com because I had it the longest and didn't want to have to redo that footprint.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thanks so much
Yeah,
for having me. It's been really great.
yeah, great to have you. So many different ideas bursting out of my head now. There's many different ways we could keep many different tangents we can go on.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll see you
Yeah.
next week then.
Yeah, great to have you, Victoria.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey, this is Lou Kozlevcha. I'm a web developer and digital business consultant based in Melbourne, Australia. I help coaches and professionals build websites that position them as trusted experts in their zone of genius. If you're looking for a totally new website or a revamp, this is exactly what I do, and I can help you from beginning to end and even after your website is finished. So if this is something that you could use some help with, do feel free to reach out. This podcast is set up to help small business owners and coaches and professionals get an understanding of digital marketing and websites so that they can make informed decisions before they go down any expensive or complicated rabbit holes. If you thought this episode was helpful, feel free to share it with someone you know. You can find my services and this podcast at loukoz.com, loukoz.com. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to making the internet beautiful with your presence.